Welcome back, everyone. It's hard to believe, but we have just 2 weeks left in our summer book club together. And today we're going to be looking at chapter 15 and praying the ordinary. And that almost sounds a little bit counterintuitive after this journey that we've been on, doesn't it? We've looked at several different and very intentional ways to engage in prayer. And now, when we're almost at the end of the journey, we come to this idea of praying the ordinary. Well, one of the thoughts we've put out there several times is that these different methods of prayer are really helpful for different circumstances or different seasons in life and in our faith journey. So they all have great value. And I think we need to take what Foster says on page 169 in that light. Many of us today live in a kind of inner apartheid. We segregate out a small corner of pious activities and then can make no spiritual sense out of the rest of our lives. We have become so accustomed to this way of living that we fail to even see the contradiction in it. The scandal of Christianity in our day, and that's maybe overly strong words that aren't necessary. Christianity in our day is the heresy, again, strong words, of a 5% spirituality. We overcome this by praying the ordinary. I think what Foster's really talking about here is a both-and situation. We've learned in our other chapters, it is good to set aside time for intentional prayer. For it's also good to cultivate a posture or an attitude in which prayer just permeates all of life. Foster offers us 3 ways that we can do this. The first is just by turning ordinary experiences into prayer. Think of the most ordinary, mundane, maybe even troublesome tasks you do in an average week. Then try to consider that task in light of the Apostle Paul's words in 1 Corinthians 10. Whatever you do, do it for the glory of God. And I'll leave you to think on that a little bit about what that just might mean for you in your ordinary tasks. Foster provides a good example in the chapter that helps to illustrate that for us. Foster's second suggestion is to try and see God in life's ordinary experiences. And here's an example that works really well for me to get my own head around this concept. Imagine you've put lots of work into planting and growing beautiful flower gardens outside your home. And this is just an example. I have not a green thumb. So that's the fun and exciting part, creating the garden and watching it bloom. Again, not something I'm real good at. But anyone who's grown a garden knows that there are all kinds of tedious, ordinary tasks that go along with that. And chief among those would be pulling the weeds. That's one thing I am actually good at in the outdoors. To see God in ordinary, mundane, tedious tasks like that, I might consider how He's created me, invested time and energy and love into helping me grow like a gardener would their garden. But also how He's a constant presence on my journey, finding the weeds in my character, my priorities, and my attitudes, and lovingly tending to them. So try to take a look around this week and see just how many ordinary experiences you can make an illustration of, just out of how God interacts with you. And finally, Foster encourages us to pray through the ordinary experiences. This is the practice of developing an awareness of how you might dialogue with God during your everyday experiences. And this is the portion of the chapter I'd like us to pray on together today. So once again, I encourage you to move to a comfortable place and position. And once you've done that, let's close our eyes. Let's begin with words of invitation to God's Spirit. God, I ask you in this moment and in the day in front of me to help me to see where you are in all of my ordinary experiences. Next, I want to encourage you to think of something simple that's happened today that you can be thankful for. Maybe it's opening the fridge this morning and being thankful for the food. Maybe it's starting your car or your computer and being thankful that it worked as expected. Just take a little time now to say thank you to God for these simple things. Now think of something that's happened today that you hope for God's involvement in. Maybe it's your kids going out to an activity or a job. Maybe it's a phone call you need to make or a conversation you need to have with someone. Just take a little bit of time to ask God to be involved in those ordinary situations to protect your kids or give you the words to say in your conversation. God, we worship you today for being a big God who is God of all of creation. And that's awesome just in itself, but we're equally in awe that you are the God of the ordinary. You are with us in each ordinary moment and each ordinary situation we encounter today. Help us to be aware of this as we journey the day in front of us. Amen. Well, thanks for watching today and praying along with me. Next week is our final video. We'll be looking at chapter 16 on petitionary prayer. See you then.